Hey, what's up? It's Dango, and we are here to talk about intermittent fasting today. So, before we get into it, first thing I want to mention is that you probably want to get a notepad, probably want to get a pen out, and start taking some notes because we will get into some pretty deep topics here. And if you're looking at what we're looking at right now, pretty much we're looking at all the terms when it comes to intermittent fasting, and the most important ones are IF, is intermittent fasting. So, whenever I say IF, it's always going to be in regards to intermittent fasting. And you have your other ones called BS, which is a breakfast skipper, and AFD, which is an average frustrated dieter, or a or FG, which is a forced grazer. All right. So, like most trends that catch on fire, in the past few years, none have been more widely discussed and debated than the intermittent fasting lifestyle. So, as of right now, there could not be a more wider spectrum of opinions on IF, and I am obviously biased towards IF because I was able to easily transform my body and live a healthy lifestyle through the use of these IF principles we'll be talking about today. So one thing you must know, I am no guru when it comes to this stuff. I'm just a regular dude, just like everyone else, except I've dedicated the last year and a bit to researching and applying the principles of intermittent fasting. So I have nothing to sell you other than the idea that you can be lean and, live a life that is normal without feeling tied to your diet plan. So it may sound counterintuitive, but don't necessarily believe a word I say, as I can only speak from the experiences of myself and the experiences of my clients with intermittent fasting. And just like all advice, you should always do as Bruce Lee does and absorb what is useful and reject what is useless. So my hope in this video is to give you a different idea on eating as well as introduce a way that is effective and has been very easy to maintain for myself and my clients. So let's talk about intermittent fasting right now. I admit that when I talk to people about meal planning and nutrition, I don't necessarily bring up intermittent fasting unless I'm sure the person is willing to have an open mind regarding such a radical change to how they approach nutrition. There are a lot of myths surrounding nutrition in regards to proper meal frequency that are just being brought to light right now. And Martin Burkhan actually does a really good job at debunking a lot of the myths that go along with intermittent fasting. That you could see that blog post right at the resource box in this video. So when I talk about IF, I feel as if I must be careful. If the person is stuck in their ways and maintains that eating frequently leads to a faster metabolism, or, if it leads to better satiety, then I'll take a step back and let them do their own thing. It's another reason why I have two types of meal plans at my fitness boot camp. A normal one would be eating 5 to 6 meals a day, breakfast included, and one that employs the two types of intermittent fasting that we'll talk about here. So I realize there's a million ways to skin a cat, and in this case, I believe intermittent fasting is the easiest, most effective way, not to skin a cat, mind you, but to burn fat off our bodies and maintain it with ease, and that's a really cool looking cat. So the benefits of intermittent fasting are, these have been proven and researched to intermittent fasting will help you increase fat loss, obviously my favorite. It'll help increase your insulin sensitivity, increase growth hormone production, which is a fat loss and youth hormone, reduce inflammation throughout the entire body, increase lifespan through a more extreme form of calorie restriction. In most cases, you'll actually kind of have complete freedom from the trappings of food or feeling like you have to eat at a certain time to stoke your mythical metabolism. And you also see greater appetite control through time with intermittent fasting. So why do I do IF? It pretty much all comes down to lifestyle. I, along with many others, were known as average frustrated dieters. In the past, I was obsessed with meal timing, calorie counting, and most of all, eating breakfast first thing in the morning. So it was one of the most frustrating periods of my life, and what made it even worse was that it was a lifestyle that was downright difficult for me and my clients to maintain. And, it was like being in a bad relationship that almost seemed impossible to get out of, and Lord knows I've been in a couple of those in my past, so it came to a point where, if I missed a meal, I would literally feel so bad about it and think that my metabolism is dying down. I'd almost grab anything around me to make sure that didn't happen. I constantly beat myself up whenever I missed meals or forgot to eat breakfast, feeling as if my metabolism was going to slow down. And it was a brutally self-abusive relationship that I was a part of for a good part of my life until finally I forcefully ingrained those habits into my lifestyle. So when I heard about intermittent fasting, I was just as skeptical as everybody else. I had my questions about its effect on my metabolism until later that I learned that they're pretty much false. A recent study by the University of Vienna shows that abstaining from eating can actually lead to a slight increase in metabolism. Also, the thought of not eating for a full day, skipping breakfast, or eating only 3 meals a day was like blasphemy to the average personal trainer. So you try telling your personal trainer you want to skip breakfast and eat 3 meals a day, and he'll literally send you to the crazy house. Or he'll just punish you with an extremely hard workout. Even now, when my clients tell their friends and spouses about what they're doing, they're met with skepticism and they're branded stupid and ignorant by people who have not read one iota of research, but I digress. Thankfully, I found a way to live a stress-free lifestyle, break free from my unhealthy relationship with food, and do so quite easily thanks to incorporating the principles of IF into my life. IFing has been by far the most easiest way to help me increase leanness and increase my muscle gains without the horrible fat gain that goes along with it. I don't necessarily even have to curse myself every time I miss a meal or two. I miss a meal every 2 or 3 hours. I don't have to carry bags of Tupperware with me if I ever leave the house. I don't even have to think about food until I have to eat it. I don't even have to eat food until I feel like I want to eat food. There's a certain peace with myself knowing that I can think about food and what to eat. I don't have to think about food. I don't have to think about what to eat. I can really focus on more important things such as my projects, living life, and sharing value with the world. So, as a famous songwriter once said, I was once blind, but now I see. That's exactly how I feel about myself when I applied the principles of IF into my life. So, this way of eating definitely requires an open mind and the ability to trust the growing research that supports it. It's also not a new concept. People have been doing this for thousands of years, if not millions of years already. Muslims fast religiously for Ramadan. Christians do 24-hour religious fasts, for religious reasons obviously. And in our Paleolithic days, we routinely went through periods of fasting and feeding because we literally had to hunt for food. And, and here's actually something I've been pondering for a while. I'm sure everyone can agree that we are facing an obesity epidemic in North America, and people are on average overweight in our society. And this, I agree, is largely due to the invention of processed foods. But when did it become normal to eat 5 to 6 meals a day? Back in our generation and beyond, our parents pretty much ate 3 square meals a day and they did just fine. No obesity epidemic. People being overweight was not the norm back then as it is now. So if eating 3 meals a day worked fine for that generation, why does it not work for ours? Well, if you think about it logically, it's just more profitable for food companies to advise us, through their selective research to eat 5 to 6 meals a day instead of three. It's also more profitable for supplement companies to have us buy their meal replacement shakes and healthy snacks instead of eating whole foods. So wouldn't it be more profitable for these people to pass out research that states you will raise your metabolic rate by eating frequently when it's not even necessarily the case? We could also argue that specific research that had been done in regards to meal frequency had been done by food and supplement companies with their own profit agendas. It's not worth it for food and supplement companies to research intermittent fasting and its benefits. There is absolutely no profit in telling people to abstain from eating for a long period of time. And I'm not here to start a conspiracy, but it's just something to really think about. So intermittent fasting is definitely not for let me get one thing straight. This is not medical advice. If you have a medical condition, then I most likely will not have the answer to it. I'm not an MD, and I would talk to your doctor before implementing these strategies. One, IF is not for people who won't give themselves 3 weeks to try it out and see if it fits with their lifestyles. It takes at least 3 weeks to get used to this type of eating. Some people take to it right away, and some people take time. Someone just bringing this into their lifestyle must realize that it actually takes time to ingrain these habits. Just like everything, it takes time to ingrain these habits into your lifestyle. 2. IF is not for people who are inherently grazers by nature. Grazers are people who like to feed frequently throughout the day. They follow this model of eating 5 to 6 meals because it is in their nature. Now keep in mind that in the past, if you force yourself to eat 5 to 6 meals a day because you were told to, and force yourself to eat breakfast every single day because you were told to, then you're not a grazer. You just train your body and mind to become that way after months and months of practice, just because you were told it was the right way to eat. Like all habits, grazing had been ingrained into your lifestyle. I find that when I have clients who are FGers, who are forced grazers, do the following styles of intermittent fasting, they really take to it and it becomes an easy lifestyle change for them. It's almost like freedom to them. Intermittent fasting are periods where we abstain from food for a specific period of time. Less technically is when we are not eating. So when you sleep, you're fasting. When we wake up and we have our first meal known as breakfast, we are technically breaking a fast. But in this case, we'll be talking about intermittent fasting as any periods where you potentially abstain from foods from anywhere between 14 to 24 hours. The two main types of IF diets that we'll cover today are the ones we employ on myself and a good number of our clients. Now, I'm not going to say these are the best, but these are the two ones that we've seen the best results with in my test subjects, namely me, my female bootcamp clients, and my male booty, not my male booty testers, but my male beta testers. 24-hour fasting. So this is an alternate, we actually call this 24-hour ADF, which is alternate day fasting. These are 24 hours where you choose to abstain from food. So if your last meal was at 6 p.m., your next meal will be at 6 p.m. the next day. We employ this once to twice a week if our goal is fat loss, and Brad Pilon employs this method in his book Eat Stop Eat, which I still think is the definitive guide on intermittent fasting. And we also do 16-8 intermittent fasting. So these are everyday period. You're actually doing a structure of eating where you have a 16-hour fast, including the time you sleep, and you have an 8-hour window in which you eat 3 to 4 meals. Martin Burkhan, again, he does a terrific job of covering this on his blog, leangains.com. So we employ 16-8 IF as the main method of eating at my boot camp. 16-8 IFing is if your last meal is at 8 p.m., your next meal will be at 12 p.m. the next day. Your second meal will be at 4 p.m., and your last meal will be at 8 p.m., and so on and so forth. And yes, we are breakfast skippers, and you can call us BSers. Note that there is no relationship between not eating, that there is a relationship between not eating breakfast and being overweight. This is in large part due to the fact that people who are not dieting are probably most apt to grab a quick Danish donut / junk food when their hunger starts. So this can easily be avoided by having a healthy meal prepared and being ready to eat as your first meal of the day. So it sucks to say that in the beginning I forced myself and my clients to eat breakfast even when I wasn't hungry, and I only did it because I was told it was the most important meal of the day. And I agree, it is the most important meal of the day. But it just depends on when you eat it. Actually, the most important meal of the day is actually what you eat, it's not when you eat it. Eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. This was the model for almost all personal trainers and fitness gurus. And there's actually growing research pointing to the fact that, it's actually total calories in that matters most, not exactly when you are eating it. So here are 11 simple rules to easily do 16-8 IF, or intermittent fasting. 1, you'll have a 16-hour fast from when you sleep to the time you wake up. This means no eating between that time. Some women, due to mood swings, may have to cut their fast by 2 hours and do 14 instead of 16, which is fine. Okay, so eat 3 meals within an 8-hour window, split up between 4-hour blocks. And you will only eat whole foods that can be cooked. You can have an unlimited amount of veggies for your meals. Really, I would fill your plate up with as much fibrous vegetables as possible, and Mom was definitely right on this part. On workout days and cheat days, you can have starchy carbs, which is in the form of sweet potatoes, quinoa, etc., after your workouts, because your body will be primed to burn them off and build muscle. All meals must have a protein source, should be at least 25% of the meal. Use this calorie counter to find out how many calories you should be taking in, which is a Livestrong calorie counter that you can find at the bottom of this video. On non-workout days, you'll have free veggies and protein at every meal, but no starchy carbohydrates. And if you're a woman, you'll drink at least 2 liters of water a day, and if you're a guy, you'll drink at least 3 to 4 liters of water a day. You'll work out a minimum of 3 times a week with a solid weight training program. You'll take branched-chain amino acids with every workout. And my favorite is Extend by Scaviation. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but you can grab that at your local supplement store. Okay, so you'll have also 1 serving of a post-workout shake before and after each workout. An important note, if you start to implement 16-8 IF, then there will be a period of 1 to 3 weeks where your body and mind will have to get used to the change in your diet. It's normal. Some people take to it easier than others, while some may need to give themselves time to feel normal on this diet, which is fine. That's why when I forced myself to eat 5 to 6 times a day and forced myself to eat breakfast in the past, after about 2 months, I would actually start to get hungry around those specific times. You can, and probably have at one point, train your hunger response to where it is right now. Take the 3 weeks as the time it takes to retrain your body's natural hunger response. If you do feel yourself getting hungry, then have a drink of water. Combating hunger with water works pretty much 99% of the time for myself and my clients. So when and how to implement the 24-hour fast. If I'm in fat loss mode and I want to lose weight, I'll probably implement a 24-hour fast into my lifestyle at least once, maybe twice a week. A 24-hour alternate day fast is really simple. You just don't eat for 24 hours straight. I usually pick a time between 8 p.m. and 8 p.m. the next day, and if I'm traveling, I'll probably fast during the plane ride to avoid eating the crappy airplane food. So here's some tips to get you through a 24-hour fast. Definitely drink lots of water. You want to stay busy. Don't think about the fact that you're fasting. By the way, like my most productive days and my best days or work is done when I am fasting for 24 hours. You get really productive when you do this. So try to stay busy and give yourself things to do. Drink green tea. I also drink coffee usually in the morning. Set a time frame to do the 24-hour fast. My favorite is 8 p.m. to 8 p.m. Find a time that works for you and stick to it. And once you're done the fast, pretty much act as if it never happened. Eat normally and act normally. And bonus, try not to tell too many people about the fact that you're fasting unless you want to get tongue lashing or ostracizing. It's just not socially acceptable to not eat for 24 hours. So if you do say you're fasting, be prepared to defend yourself. You can also implement a cheat day the day before a fast to take advantage of the metabolism boosting effects of junk foods. So for cheat day guidelines, my friend John Romanillo, he did a terrific job of outlining them, and I provided that in the resource box below. So let's put it all together. What we do for our clients is have them do a 16-8 intermittent fast as a regular way of eating about 6 to 7 days a week. We may add in a cheat day in there, depending on the cheat day guidelines my friend Roman so graciously contributed to. Keep in mind that the 24-hour ADF will come the day after the cheat day. You could do the 16-8 intermittent fast program alone and see great results with it. What I've noticed is that within the first 2 weeks, your insulin levels actually drop, and people tend to lose the most weight in that period, partially due to a lot of water loss. Just by switching to the 16-8 style of eating, we've had girls lose anywhere between like 5 pounds a week, 10 pounds in 2 weeks, 17 pounds in 4 weeks. But it's not about weight loss, and it's not just about getting lean. When choosing an eating style that's right for you, it must give you results, and it must be simple to follow. So my clients who have applied IF to their lives have described it as pretty much easy to do and very simple to maintain. To me, intermittent fasting is a heck of a lot easier than figuring out what to eat for 5 meals throughout the day. It's also a lot easier to comply with this style of eating if you work with a 9 to 5 job. Although I don't work a regular job and I do spend a good amount of time at home, it still works for someone like myself. So in closing, doing intermittent fasting is a choice and lifestyle rather than a diet. In my experience, it is the one diet that has allowed myself and my clients to really live the lifestyle that I want to live, which is for myself like traveling, creating new experiences, partying on occasion, but still maintaining a lean body. In a weird way, it also has given me more control over the foods I eat. I've become more mindful of the foods and their effect on my energy levels, as well as how much satisfaction I get from them. I'm also really excited to see its positive effects on preventing cancer, as well as relieving the symptoms in diseases such as multiple sclerosis and arthritis. But for now, I will keep a neutral stance until those facts are proven without a doubt. So whether you choose to apply intermittent fasting to your life or not, I hope this blog post gives you a clear picture about what all the benefits that intermittent fasting can bring to your lifestyle. So for a full guide on how to do intermittent fasting, and plus a 14-day rapid fat loss workout nutrition plan, you can visit the link below. And this is Dan. Thank you very much for doing this presentation with me, and I'll talk to you soon.